Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another weekly update. Hope everybody's having a lovely July 4th weekend. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys, so we did have another up week here in the stock market for a 4 trading session week. We were off on Friday, July 4th. Hope everybody enjoyed their holiday. And I'm just going to say, you coming into the stock market for another exciting week. Guess what? I think we're probably going to be getting a pullback. I don't think it's worth chasing up here. I think things are pretty extended right now. You can just look here on the daily RSI over here on our SPY. Normally when you get up here, you're only within a few trading sessions of a pullback. And that's best case scenario. Over here, you just kind of grind it higher. Over here, you stalled out the next 2 sessions and then went flat for the next week and a half. Over here, these are all the spots where we did end up seeing pullbacks or consolidation periods just like that led to a larger pullback. It was a part of a bigger consolidation period, and then you just kept going on. What I'm saying is it's pretty boring price action once you get to where you are right here. We're probably going to see a pullback, and on that pullback, we're going to have a ton of opportunity across the board. So we're going to be talking about that in today's video. I got some setups at the end of the video. We're going to start off with SPY, go over QQ, IWM, the Mag 7 stocks, and then I have a bunch of trade ideas and hot stocks for you guys to pay attention to next week. All right. So, I'm just going to point out we did continue this impulsive move over here. It made sense. Most of the time, when we have something that looks like this, we normally will pull back. Right here, we have a very key area, previous all-time highs. We very easily hit it with the break and retest and then just continue getting bought up. I do think that the dip here is going to be bought pretty quick. July, I'm pretty sure, is the strongest month. I saw a stat over the weekend on Twitter, on X, that was going over, since July 2015, every single July has been green. I think that's probably going to continue this time around. We could look here on the monthly time frame. This is how we just closed out last month. No matter what, this dip is going to create a buying opportunity. We're not going to correct that much, make our way back up to all-time highs just to start, pulling back again. No, we're going to do so, and we're probably going to keep trekking higher. And any dip, even if it lasts for a whole month like that, it gets bought up the following month. All right. So, guys, we're in a bull market. Dips are clear as day, buying opportunities, and the market's going higher. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's how we're going to be trading it. That's how you should be trading it. We're here to make money. You're not here to, just be right. You can be right along the way, but you are definitely here to make money. And if you're not, you're kind of a little crazy to partake in the stock market, psychological warfare continuously, not to be here for money. Okay. So yeah, I mean, dips are going to be a, buying opportunity. Please don't go out there trying to, you can short this thing, but just realize it's probably not going to be all that much. It's probably going to give you, either consolidation or, a sharp decline all the way back here to 613.23 that then gets bought up pretty quick, but risk to reward, I would say it's much better just to wait on that dip to come and to take advantage of it. Okay. Or you're just continuing to take advantage of the bullish moves in the market for the time being until that dip comes. Then you go risk off, and then boom, you wait for buyers to start stepping back in, and boom. All right, you avoided worst case scenario, a sharp decline. Best case scenario, some consolidation for 1 to 2 weeks before continuing higher. We know the thing is very likely going higher. We just got to be patient on how this thing is going to unfold. We can clear as day see it's up there, but as I just pointed out, all the times you get up here, you're within a few days of either trading flat for like 1 to 2 weeks or just getting a sharp pullback that again then gets bought. All right, so that's what I got for you guys over here for the broad picture of things. That's how it's shaping up here. Everything's looking really good. This is SPY, this is QQQ. It's not look bad at all. Over here is IWM. You have DIA. We know the Dow Jones is getting up to all-time highs. Probably going to happen over the next week. And that means, maybe the market is going to continue, just trekking higher this week, and then we pull back next week. We never really know. I'm going to go over how everything is looking in this video, though, so we know what to focus on this week. All right. If the market's going to continue, we really don't know until it happens. Okay. We don't know. But come back over here to SPY. Let's go over some levels. On the upside, we have 626.28. Above there, we're watching 630 and then 635. On the downside, we have Thursday's low at 622.43. Underneath there, 620.51, 619.22, 615.04. and 613.23, which is the previous all-time high. This is between 613.23 and 609.07, all-time high from over here. That is where I think buyers will defend if we are, to see these prices again here over the coming 1 to 2 weeks. We're probably going to see them at some point. It is probably going to be over the next 1 to 2 weeks, and it's very likely going to hold for, honestly, another face ripper rally. Coming over here to QQQ. All right, on the upside, we have 557.20. Above there, we're watching 560, 565, 570 all the way up here. Those are the psych levels that you're going to be watching. On the downside, you have 552.80, 550.71, 544.66, and 540.81, previous all-time high right over here, okay? And then again, on the weekly time frame, we just, continuing this impulsive move right here. I think if we do go higher at the, start of the week, I think we should start to, get a little bit cautious. I think it makes sense to go a little bit higher to start off the week. I'm not saying just because over here, because of what I'm going to show you on the Mag 7 stocks. I will point some things out, but that gives everything a chance to, have these bullish charts we got going on right now to, see some more upside off of them, and then maybe get a pullback from higher prices, which then will be bought up on the Mag 7 stocks. We got, I think 4 of them right now are pretty set up for immediate upside. So we are going to be taking a look at that. But we're keeping that in mind when going over a thesis here for the coming 1 to 2 weeks. All right. So those levels on QQQ, we're going to come over here to IWM, guys. Congrats if you guys are in this, if you guys ended up taking this one. We pointed this out over here. Congrats if you took that with us. Congrats over here if you took this one with us. It is time for you now to start taking profits. Okay, the thing has had quite the vertical move, being the strongest indice over here. Over the last, 2 weeks, this thing has gone quite vertical on us. And, I'm just saying, you're up a pretty penny if you were buying in during the consolidation. And, now you're at 223, guys. Next stop really is going to be 228 and then 230. I imagine you're not going to go straight through this area, but I could be wrong. If you do go straight through this area, there's a chance we go straight to all-time highs here, 244.46. All right, we'll be watching it, but, does not look bearish by any means. And I already told you guys, DIA over here did not get up to all-time highs yet. Like, if we see a pullback into this area, we're going to expect that to be bought back up to highs. All right, like, it's either going to hit right now in the short term this week, and then maybe we pull back, maybe we don't, or we get that pullback and we know for a fact it's going to be a buying opportunity. Honestly, I would like to see that pullback to take advantage of things, but I will tell you, I would like it more if we start the week off, see some of these setups, actually have some life in them, and then pull back later in the week, okay? And then, we could look for that dip to be bought sometime next week. That would be ideal. But, things aren't always the ideal scenario, so we like to cover all of them, okay? But those are the indices. We're going to come over here, the MAGS ETF here, guys. Does that look bearish? Does not look bearish to me, but, I will say I will not be surprised if we pull back into this wick. That is going to be a theme of the Mag 7 stocks, guys. I will not be surprised if we get a pullback. All right, then gets bought up to start off the week. All right, and then, the actual, sell/consolidation for the next 2 weeks. I think that would come over here. We're going to have big tech earnings. So, maybe we do have one more little, extension to this pop, consolidate for a little while into those big tech earnings, and then boom, we make another move off of those. I wouldn't be surprised by that outcome at all. Okay. Coming over here, Apple, guys, it finally made its decision on which way it wants to break. It wants to break up above 214.56, guys. You have nothing until 219.38. And then you have 200 DMA at 223 and then 225.70. If it pulls back to 209.48, that's providing a buying opportunity to follow this arrow right over there for that move up to 220 plus. All right. Hopefully you get the pullback, but at the same time, it could very well just keep getting bought up here. But you honestly want it to pull back, though, be a healthier kind of move, and it allows, participation in the rally. All right, so that will not be bad. But Apple's looking like it definitely wants to continue, and you're targeting that 200 DMA above. Microsoft, guys, another one that looks like, you know, it might just continue. It would kind of make no sense to pull back from right here. And if you do, it's probably not going to take out the loan. It's probably going to get bought up somewhere over here around 493. They get bought up through 576. Okay, above 576, you're watching 505. 505 and then 510. Sorry, I always get the hiccups when I'm talking throughout these videos. I don't know why, but it's a constant theme. So this is the same kind of candlestick we have on the MAGS ETF, as well as a few of these MAG 7 tickers this week. So I would not be surprised to, you know, get maybe a gap down to start off the week over here that then gets bought up early on the week, you know. But I'm also going to say, you know, maybe this does turn into something that goes a little higher to start off the week and then pulls back into the end of the week. That would make more sense to me because, you know, typically, guys, we're not going to make this perfect double top and pull back immediately. If we do, it's going to be something like that, you know, after a few sessions is going to be bought back up through these highs at 223.72 off that resistance, and above there, guys, above 223.72, we're going to 225.86, 228.84, and the 232.22 is all the way up here. I do think that is where we're heading. It looks like this thing wants another leg up. I'm just going to say on the weekly chart, it just would look kind of unsound to me to just kind of, you know, gap up and go or just continue right away. I would expect you to come into this lower wick, but, you know, I could be wrong. It's just not really how, you know, this candle right here to print after that would make perfect sense to me. Okay, like you see what's happening over here when you get these indecision candlesticks, you normally will come back into the lower wick over there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen over here. Okay. So that is Amazon. It, you know, big picture, this thing does want to push back up. I think it is coming back up to all-time highs. We can see how it looks on the weekly time frame here. Same thing as Google with the break and retest here on the monthly chart. Right off of previous all-time highs, looking like it wants to get back up to current all-time highs. Same thing, just like we went over on Amazon, same picture over here on GOOG. We know it wants to get back up to highs. It's just a matter of, you know, when that's going to happen. It's not an if, it's when that is going to happen. And I have a feeling that, you know, we're probably going to get up into this area around 190 and then pull back into earnings, then maybe make a move off of earnings. I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen. It could honestly take, you know, quite a few months here to get back up to highs. You can see once we start working out this consolidation over here, you got an earnings pop, followed by a drop, followed by then a really big pop back up to all-time highs. So, you know, that would be the equivalent of us going something like this, you know, something like that. It's going to be picture perfect like how it was before. This is exactly how it's going to go. All right. So, you know, be open to something like that, but at least in the short term, I really do like this setup over here. I just went over the monthly chart, but, you know, you guys can see on the weekly time frame here, we finally got a weekly close outside of this consolidation here. Moving averages flip back to bullish over here. You can see it on the cloud. You're consolidating above the 200 DMA here, and you got your weekly close above 178.13. You can see here on the daily time frame how strong this looks, guys. You know, we have this little inverse head and shoulders kind of pattern going on here over 182.45. Like, yeah, we're gonna have 183.63 here, but really over take out this high, you know, you could just see it here on the weekly chart. Maybe, you know, it would look pretty sound to me. You go like that. If you take out 182.45, you're probably coming straight up to 188.71. Okay. So, you know, over 182.45, the party gets started, guys. This thing could really heat up and come all the way up to 188.71 pretty quick there. Now, if you do pull back, you do want to make sure you're holding that 200 DMA. So between 175.94 and 178.13, you want to see buyers defend there. Ideally, we're not going to violate this low over here, though. So, you know, you really don't even want to come all the way back down to test that 200 because you don't want to violate this low that was just put in there, okay? So that is Google. Coming over here to Nvidia, this is another one that just like doesn't look like it's going to top out right now. You know, it makes, you know, reminds me of this candle right over here, popped up to new all-time highs here, you know, equal highs. And then you kind of just consolidate over the coming weeks, but you did grind higher. That's honestly how this is shaping up to me, and I won't be surprised if this is how that ends up going down. I really don't know exactly how it's going to go, but I'll tell you right now, if you get a pullback in the short term, like this is going to create a buying opportunity, and I will be a buyer if we get this. And, you know, here on this channel, we're going to be talking about that opportunity if it presents itself. But, you know, come back into this area. I think it's very obviously something that will be bought. You can see how this closed here on the daily. over here on Friday, it looks like maybe we're going to start some consolidation, maybe something like that. And then maybe resume, the vertical action, not too far down the line. Who knows? But you can see how the monthly candle just closed out here at new all-time highs, guys. This is like 3 years. Not 3 years. This is, my apologies. This is 300 days over here, 1 year of consolidation that's now starting to break out. A lot of people are going to call this a head and shoulders pattern when we're over here, but as we could see, we just kind of started busting through. We also, what happened over here, you had this little consolidation period that broke up. I don't think something like that's going to come out of this, but I will not be surprised to see Nvidia, start trekking up towards $200 over the coming months. I don't think it's going to be as parabolic as this where it goes 200%, but I do think we probably could get up to 200 over here, which is 50 points above current price, just about, well, it's about 40. But yeah, I mean, pull back. We got a 50 move to take advantage of, 50-point move there. Tesla over here, guys, we could see this is getting ready for a big move. I do have to assume this is going to be a bullish move over here. You lost the 200 DMA and the short-term moving averages, and then you flip the cloud back to bullish over here. Now you're just consolidating. It's getting really tight. I would say there's absolutely no reason to be touching this in this consolidation here, but if it breaks up or breaks down, that's when you want to get involved. I personally wouldn't be getting involved if it breaks down over here, but if it breaks up 367.71, that's the level to be watching. If it breaks down 273.21, that's the level you got to hold. If it does break up, though, that's when I think it's good to get involved. I don't think it's going to break up anytime soon. Elon Musk is sitting there on Twitter yesterday and today talking about his third party, the American party, I think he's calling it. I imagine that's going to tank the stock 10 to 15% right off the bat to start off the week. From current price, guys, honestly, this weekly chart's a complete mess. The thing's about a gap down like this. All right, it's just going to be sitting down here at 280 to 290 to start off the week. We'll see how the market reacts, but I have to assume it's probably going to take out this low. If it bounces, it's probably going to get shorted, or it's probably going to be sold, provide a shorting opportunity there, because it's probably going sub 273.21. From current prices, that's only 13.5% away. If this guy wants to, challenge everything right now, yeah, his stock's probably not going to be doing good. So I wouldn't be focused on it. Over here on Meta, guys, I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing this thing consolidate into earnings. Then it makes a bigger move off of earnings. Monthly chart makes me think it absolutely is going higher from here. I don't think this is something that's going to sell. I think this is something that looks exactly like what we had over here, except not as tight. But you had a very big pullback over here, break and retest off of this whole area. And as we can see now, it just closed like right underneath previous all-time highs. It did make new all-time highs, but on a closing basis, yeah, it made new all-time highs, compared to over there. But I'm talking about this level right here. I'm just saying it looks exactly like this, where you closed right underneath it, and then the next month you rip back up. I wouldn't be surprised to see this monthly candle here be bought up. And if it doesn't get bought up this month, the next month I think is probably going to be a green month, and we get back up to highs. We do have earnings the last week of July. I would not be surprised to see, literally second to last day of July there. I would not be surprised to see that end up, that turn into a green monthly candlestick. But as for the short term, I don't think there's a reason really to be touching this. All right, those are the Mag 7 stocks, guys. Now we are going to be going over some stocks that I think have nice charts here, some setups for you guys to make some money off of over the coming week. All right, so first of all, I'm just going to point out Hood. I'm not telling anybody to trade these things. I'm just pointing out, some likely movement for the next week. This was the heaviest volume, weekly volume it's had since its IPO week over here. This is probably going to hit it with another green week. It looks like it's consolidating. I know it's a very, very wide range you got going on here. One candle range of about 10%, about 10 points. I think it's probably going to break above 188 here and head for 110, 115. Okay, so that's over here on Hood. Carvana, this is one that, just looks very obvious over here. Any dips are going to be buying opportunities. Above 350, 143, it's very likely going to at least extend for like 10, 15 points. And, at that point, you're very close to the current all-time high at 376.83. So this is one that I'm paying attention to over here. If it does pull back, if you get a 10-point pullback, guys, this is an easy 100% gain here. as you ride it back up through 350, 143 and to 355, 360. All right, so there's Carvana. We're going to come over here to CrowdStrike. All right, so I've been talking about CrowdStrike over the last few weeks over here since we broke out right here. You consolidate above previous all-time highs. And now you're breaking out of this range over here. You know, this range goes from all the way down here. That's 37 points. We haven't moved that much yet. We only moved like 25 points. So I do think this thing is probably going to hit 520, 525, maybe 530 this week. Something to keep on your radar. Not looking bad at all. You know, look at this dip. It's a very similar look over there to one of the stocks we just mentioned. Okay, you got Microsoft right over here. Does it make sense for it not to break these highs? No, it looks like it's about to break these highs, right? So that's what I am assuming is going to be the case. All right, so that is CrowdStrike. We're going to come over QBTS. All right, so this is one I'm pretty sure I put it on you guys' radar. I definitely put it on the Discord's radar. And if you guys do want to come trade with me, there is going to be a code July 4th that you guys can use to get 50% off. That will be running today and tomorrow. So if you want to join 50% off for your first month with us, come test this out. I do live stream every day, and I can guarantee I will put some hot setups on your radar continuously, and that alone is that can be game changer for someone's trading. But QBTS over here, guys, it looks ready to rip above 1679. We're talking 1977, and then it's likely heading to 25 plus. All right, put it on your radar if it is not already. It does look like it's probably going to be taking out this high next week. All right, that is QBTS. Next one is going to be over here on Uber, guys. You know, you think this is long consolidation. Well, guess what? You just broke out from, on the weekly chart, the consolidation, which took like a month and a half here, off of the previous all-time high. You know, this is a picture perfect break and retest. Low over here is 81.86. This high was 81.86. We know exactly where buyers are defending this thing over here, and you just broke up from that consolidation, and you really haven't had that extension style move. I do think 100 is incoming, probably going to be coming this week. All right, so keep it on your radar. But daily chart, weekly just broke up from this consolidation. Daily chart decided to consolidate after the breakout from the consolidation, and that looks like it's about to break up. Keep it on the radar. MSTR, all right, MSTR and Coinbase, these are ones that are going to be dependent off of Bitcoin over here. I'm just going to say, why would you push right up here, pull back, and then come to take out that low? I already talked about you had a trap right here. You have a trap right here. I don't think you're going to have a third trap before coming all the way back down here. That would be, you know, third trap, fourth trap, because we know this thing is heading up to all-time highs. Look at how the monthly chart is set up. All right, and then look at how this weekly chart is set up. This thing is about to move up to all-time highs, whether it wants to consolidate right here to close out this week or not. This thing is heading up to all-time highs, ladies and gents. Okay, so prepare for that move. Once that move happens, that is when setups like Coinbase over here can start continuing above 382. They head to 430 over here. All right, and then MSTR specifically has not even started breaking out yet. It is probably going to hit it with a big move. Okay, this weekly high right here is wrong. I don't know why it's not showing Friday's high up there at 414.60. Okay, but this is something that hasn't even broken out of this bull flag yet, guys. Above 404.42, that is where you have to break above. I want to see a daily close above that level. And then once you get above 414.60, this probably is run to 430 and 445 pretty quick. Okay, very sexy setup over here. And I'm just going to say, once it has a higher time frame break of structure, once you break a high here and put in a higher high here on, you know, the weekly chart, this thing tends to have a few weeks, you know, 2 to 3 weeks of just straight upside. That was right over here. This was the most recent one. All right here, where you had a whole over 3 weeks, guys. That's 86 points once that breakout occurred. Over here, I was freaking insane. Okay, but you know, even over the next month, you still did end up going 100 points. Okay, and you know, I do think this is probably something that, you know, is about to really start making a move, and that move doesn't start until it breaks over 430.35. Once you get that higher time frame break of structure here, this thing is probably going to start ripping. Like, I'm talking, you know, 450 comes within days, but we're talking like 500 plus maybe. If Bitcoin's really going to be ripping up to new highs, taking out 112K, heads to 150 to 120, yeah, that's when MSTR is going to quickly find itself at 450 to 480. That's just how that's going to go. All All right, so that's definitely something to be paying attention to this week. Over here on Shopify, this is a hot setup waiting to go. Above 117.36, we're talking 120.72, 124.19, then 129.38. You can see this one is just getting ready here. It technically did break out of, you know, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of consolidation. You just broke out from a month and a half of consolidation. If you take out the 117.36 high, it should make this move pretty quick. All right, so one to pay attention to right there is Shopify. Coming over here to SOFI, I'm just, you know, reminding you guys what happened last time it took out highs like that after making this big old pullback. Well, it just did the same thing. Probably going to be continuing above 18.92. It's going straight to that $20 psych level, and then above there, guys, is absolutely nothing until you get up here near 25 bucks, 24.65. All right, so that is SoFi. Dips are buying opportunities clear as day over here. SMCI, guys, it's getting really tight. Honestly, you know, with how this monthly chart is shaping up here, how you just closed out, I think this thing is starting to break up from all this consolidation. I know it's, you know, kind of premature to call it, but above 50.61, this thing could really fly. Above 50.61, we're talking 56.19, and then 67 bucks comes pretty quick. You know, as you can see on the monthly, it already did with this most recent monthly close, the June close. We did start breaking up from consolidation, you know, so we kind of already know where this chart wants to take us, which is to the upside. Now we just follow along with the smaller time frames, which in this case is going to be the weekly and the daily time frame. Above 50.61, 56.19, then 67.10. That's, you know, really where this thing wants to go. We could clear as day tell what's going on here. It's consolidating bullishly. All right, and this nice little, you know, getting real tight over this range that's starting to break up. We got a weekly close above this high over here, and we got the monthly, you know, close showing us is breaking out of these, you know, these wicks over here, this consolidation. We've closed that above last week's upper wick. That's telling, guys, okay? So I know it's not going yet, but I think it's definitely one to focus on here in the short term. So I got my alerts set 50.61. I'll let you guys know, but it's yeah, it's one I'll be waiting for this break above 50.61, guys. I think it's right around the corner. All right, PayPal rejected right here off the 200. I wouldn't be surprised to just see this one continue going, but if it does pull back to 75.27 to 74.15, that's where you want to be a buyer. That's where this thing is probably going to shine. You guys can see here on the monthly chart, this thing is probably going to just, you know, continue heading up here. See what happened the last time you got a, you know, monthly cloud flip, which is about to occur, you know, this upcoming month, it looks like. You got a little, you know, boom, $78 all the way to 93 bucks. That's quite a bit right there, okay? Same look on the weekly chart. This cloud just flipped back to bullish. It looks like you could be just starting a big move here, so it's one to keep on your radar. Rocket Labs one, then I am focusing here on a pullback. I got my alerts set. We're going to be seeing if we can get that pullback underneath 33, 34 and test like around 31 bucks. I think that is a dip that will be bought pretty quick. CRWV daily time frame set up over here, guys. Fallen wedge pattern as it pulls back, reverse the mean. We talk about this a lot on this channel, guys. Everything reverts back to the mean eventually, and that's where my setups come into play, or that's where they form. Above 166.63, guys, we're talking 171.20. Yeah, we're going to change the level. We're going to be talking 173.35. Above there, 187, then probably 200 bucks. Coming over here to Oklo, and this is the last one I have for you guys right now. I'm going to be watching for this one to start heating back up. If it could break above 59.14 here, that's when this thing is probably going to start running back up the high. So above 59.14, we have 64.78 and then 73.55. And as far as the Mag 7 stocks, guys, you're focusing on Apple. This is a clear as day dip buy. It's probably going to hit it with the 1-2 here. You just started breaking out this consolidation above 214.56. This thing is probably at least going to 220. So you have 219.38 to watch over there as a target. But this, you know, this is an easy double this week if we were just to lock in and pay attention here on Apple alone. And then on top of that, I'll say Google looks really clean over here, guys. You know, dips are buying opportunities until proven otherwise over here on Google. Look at here on the daily time frame. Ideally, this kind of just continues and breaks above 182.45 and starts really going vertical up to 188.71. Amazon clears day over here on the daily chart. This is one that's probably about to get a pop. And if it does pull back and it really even tests 215 again, it's probably something that's just going to sweep the low like over here and then get that next leg up. You know, you guys can see how this weekly chart is shaping up here. You guys see how the monthly already did shape up here. It's it's targeting these highs, guys. It wants to get back up to the highs. I think it's going to happen over the coming few months. And yeah, right here, I think this is the setup here that brings us another little leg just like that. This consolidation alone was 20 points. All right, if we're just talking right here, this was 11 points. Well, you know, we only went 5 points above here. All right, the whole range itself is like 20 points. I know it's a little diagonal here, but yeah, we're probably going flying over here in the Amazon. You just got to be patient on it. But if we see that pullback, that to start off the week, I think that's probably going to get bought up. I won't be surprised to see everything go a little bit higher though first, and then we pull back to you know, end off the week. But either way, guys, I'm just telling you, things are getting a bit extended. I hope I just provide some clarity for some tickers to focus on, some hot setups, some themes to be focused on. MSTR alone, guys, this is one that is probably going to be, you know, once it starts, we're going to have 2 to 3 weeks of straight upside where, you know, you're going to have a few 100 to 200% trades, probably 2 or 3 of them just sitting in there in a 2 to 3 week period. So we are going to be focusing on it. All right. With that being said, guys, if you want to come trade with me, link is down below. Use code July4 for 50% off of your first month. And if you did enjoy today's video, please remember to leave a like. I would greatly appreciate it. It's the only thing that keeps this channel growing. It's you guys. I appreciate you so much, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.